All right, welcome to Friday Night Live. I'm the pet man, Matt Morrow. Excuse me. Man, caught me off guard. Friday Night Live is sponsored by Craig Faile. He is the owner of Blackbridge Financial. Um, very happy to have Craig support with us on a wonderful show on Friday Night Live, where we talk about what we see on Friday nights, and then you all who watch the show drop your comments and we talk about what you have observed. Now, this Friday night is very different, obviously, because of Hurricane Helene that has come in and, been a really big um, factor in when a lot of these games are being played. And I'd be remiss if I didn't say, all of our thoughts and prayers from all of us at Charlotte Football Insiders go out to what's going on in Western North Carolina, the flooding and mudslides and all of the really tough things that our friends to the west of us are dealing with is you know catastrophic and unheard of, and you know much less high school football is probably one of the last things on their minds. They're just trying to survive and rebuild. So definitely our thoughts are with them as they go through a really tough time right now. That being said, tonight we did get out to a football game. In the Charlotte area, there were not very many options. Tonight we were at Country Day in Cannon. This game was played at Cannon School. It was Cannon School's homecoming. And if you did get out tonight, you noticed that it ended up being a beautiful night, which, the rules say when, CMS or other school systems don't have school that day, then they can't have activities, after school. So that's why a lot of those games were not played tonight. But um, we observed a lot of good things with Country Day and Cannon. Country Day did win the game, 37-17. I'll have some pictures and we'll have some highlights. I don't know if it'll be a full highlight because we didn't stay the whole time, but we'll get some video out from that game. But it's always great to go to Cannon. There's some very nice people. I appreciate head coach Dustin Martin allowing us to come out there. And the biggest thing I want to say is, there's, we know Providence Day is really good. We know Christian is a good team, but there are really good players on all levels of football and, in the private school ranks. And these two schools, have good football players on them. And I want to shout out a couple of those guys. And Henry Anthony is a very talented tight end. It's at Cannon School, 6'5". He's going to Harvard. And it tells you a lot about that young man. Um, and then for Country Day, Khalil Wright, the quarterback number 4, is committed to Kennesaw State. Braylon Clark, number 3, is a freshman who has several major Division I offers. His latest offers from Miami. Just to give you an idea, offensive lineman Charlie Stouffer was a talented young man, good size. He's only a sophomore. Um, so I really wanted to get a chance to see those guys and others up close. And I thought it was a good football game. There were some big plays on both sides. Um, I think the biggest thing that I take away is from the competitive nature of the game was Cannon had the ball twice in the red zone early on. Excuse me, and they only scored a field goal out of those two possessions. I think when that happened, Country Day was able to get a quick score, go up 7-3, and then they kind of extended the lead slowly out, and they kind of just took control of the game slowly from that point on. Country Day's running back, number 6, and I wanted to try and find his name before I got on here. I thought he was very impressive to me. Matter of fact, his first carry, he took it about 60 yards for a touchdown. Which was really really impressive. It was a great run. I'll make sure I get that highlight out there. But um, I mean, I thought it was good football. I really did. And I want to say this too. The officials were excellent tonight. I mean, top to bottom, they were excellent. We talked about it on our show where, some crews have been less than stellar, is the best way to put it, but these guys were great. I mean, top notch, A plus. So if you know the guys that did that game, let them know major kudos. They explained the penalties very well. They kept the clock moving the right way. Very clear explanations on those penalties to everybody. They were really, really good. All right. We got 6 comments in the bucket. I didn't know how many people were gonna watch because number one, we're an hour early because there's not much to talk about from a live game perspective. So I figured why wait? But let's see what we got. Chat administrator, prayers for everybody in West North Carolina. Absolutely. Absolutely, that's for sure. And he did not observe much. Well, this is gonna be a little bit different. I'll get into that in a second. J-Man is here. What's up, man? Yeah, I'm doing good. I'm doing good. I live on the eastern side of the Charlotte area, so we didn't really have any issues, thank goodness, out at our house. So appreciate that, man. Let's see. Yes, sir. It was great to meet you. Mr. Alonzo was at this game tonight, and it was a pleasure to meet him. And I am still considering your offer. You'll definitely know that before too long, early next week. Maybe even earlier than that. So, let's see, Mr. Mitchell. Yes. I highly doubt the officials watched our show. I highly doubt that. But maybe word got to them. I don't know. But no, seriously, those guys were awesome tonight. They really were, man. So I want to review some games that have been played. There were some games moved up and played Wednesday, which in hindsight looked like the smartest thing to do, to be honest with you. Shelby defeated Thomas Jefferson 70-0. Wow, ain't much to say about that. Charlotte Latin. Shout out to Charlotte Latin. I haven't said much about them, but they're undefeated on the season so far. They defeated Covenant Day 45-14. And the thing with Charlotte Latin is last year they didn't have that great of a season. And they came back and this year it seems like there's more, and this is just my perception. I really, not that in tune with them, but there just seems to be more pride in the program. I know the quarterback, Troy Logan, is having a really strong season. So far, they've defeated Ravenscroft, Mitchell, Metrolina Christian, which was their closest game, 30-29. They defeated Cannon 35-14. They beat Carolina Bearcats and St. Paul's and Covenant Day. So you may look at that and say, well, who have they really played? But at the same time, last year they had a similar schedule and they did not, do that well. So, I've got to give them credit and kudos for going out here and having a really strong season so far. Now, here's the thing. The next 3 games are against the other Big Four in Charlotte. And I say Big Four, I mean the private schools in Country Day, Charlotte Christian, and Providence Day. And I used to say this a lot back in the day when I did previews and stuff. This is exam time for Charlotte Latin. Those 3 schools obviously know them very well because they play them every year. They compete against them in everything. And they're conference foes, and they're probably going to be looking at the schedule. They're probably the 3 best teams on their schedule. They're all winning records. Country Day is a 4-3 record now after their win tonight. So it's going to be interesting to see, how they match up. And that is a big game coming up against Country Day. They have a bye, which is even better. That'll help them, get 2 weeks to go into this big stretch for them. So, but I'm rooting for them. Coach Drayton and those guys, that's awesome, man. I always love to see programs that show a upward trend in what they're doing, and this is a big upward trend for those guys. So congratulations. North Mac defeated Harding 51-0. Shout out to Coach Terrence Cunningham, who's taken over at Harding for Coach JT Stone, who stepped down earlier in the week. I think he's a great choice. I've been around Coach Cunningham a good bit, and he's got the right mentality to lead that team in a tough time. So that's good stuff, man. And North Mac, congrats to you guys for getting a big win for sure. All right, so in the Charlotte area, Thursday, the only teams that played, Providence won big over North Raleigh Christian, 61-7. Coach Greer did send me some stats from that game on the Providence Day side, which I'm going to try to pull up on the fly here. His kicker, Jacob Baggett, 7 of 8 kickoffs for touchbacks. He had a consecutive touchback streak of 30 and was 4 extra points. And the other kicker, they have 2 kickers, David Dudley, 4 for 4 extra points, and he had a 38-yard field goal. Providence Day's offense has scored on 30 of their last 32 possessions going back to the second half of the Catholic game. So they're really on fire right now. There's not a lot of big numbers because their starters didn't play a lot. Of course, in a game like that, you want to get them in and get them out. But I've written about linebacker Justin Abankwa, who is really having a strong sophomore season. He had 9 tackles, a tackle for loss, a sack, and 2 quarterback hurries and a fumble caused. So, yeah, he's really starting to come into his own, and he's a really good young man. I met him in person at the Johnson C. Smith camp over the summer, and he's got a bright future ahead of him. Also standing out, defensive lineman Charles Ebay, 4 tackles, 2 tackles for loss, and 4 quarterback hurries. And then Providence Day has a bye next week, and then they finish up with a tough schedule with Charlotte Christian, Raven Gap, and Charlotte Latin, who we just talked about. So good stuff. Coach Greer getting it done. And I was glad they were able to travel back last night from Raleigh. Boy, that's something else. And then Richmond with a signature win for Coach Denson, 36-7 over Pinecrest. That's a message sent right there. Richmond playing really some really good football this year, which is awesome, man. So then tonight's games, of course, I talked about where we were. A lot of people didn't play, but Northwestern, this was a big one down in the upstate South Carolina. Northwestern was big over Catawba Ridge, 59-17. And Northwestern is a machine. They are really a machine, man. They're a lot of fun to watch. A lot of fun to watch for sure. And that's really all we got for tonight, to be honest with you. Max Prep still has some other games listed on here, but I think these games got moved. So, well, let's take a look at. We're gonna do a little preview. This is a little flashback to what I used to do when I used to do some individual clips, a preview of games. So that's what I'm gonna give you tonight. All right, who's playing Saturday? Well, I'll give you a rundown here. So we got West Rowan and South Rowan playing at 12 noon. Wow, I love these different times. It's interesting. It's really interesting to see because different schools have different philosophies. So we got that one. We got West Lincoln and Maiden at 1 p.m. West Caldwell Bunker Hill at 2 p.m. along with Hunter Huss and South Point at 2 p.m. East Lincoln and Statesville at 2 p.m. St. Stephen's and North Iredale's at 2 p.m. And then we start getting into the Charlotte game. So first of all, we got Catholic and Independence. I believe this game's been moved to 7. Correct me if I'm wrong. It was at 6, but I think they moved it to 7 now because they canceled the JV game that was going to be played ahead of it. So correct me if I'm wrong. A big game. Palisades at Myers Park. This is the big game for the Stomac at 6 p.m. Of course, Hickory Ridge and Mooresville at 6 p.m. And that's where Chad Administrator is going to be. And then we'll get the Monday too. Let's see here. Hopewell Mallard Creek. Hopewell Mallard Creek is where we're going to be Saturday. So me and producer will be there. That is a 6 p.m. start at Mallard Creek. Really, I'm excited to see Hopewell. I've heard a lot of good things. Another team that a lot of people told me they're much improved. They're 3-1 on the season. So we'll see how they go toe to toe with the Mavericks. Valentine Ridge and RG Kill. Battle of Valentine. That should be a thing. That should be that sounds like a thing. Get like a Valentine trophy, or what would a Battle of Valentine? What would you win in a Battle of Valentine? Let's think about that. I don't know. I used to work in Valentine. I couldn't even tell you. But those two schools are playing at 6 p.m. And then at 7 p.m. we got Butler going to Providence in a big game in the Southwestern Conference. So when you look at those games, obviously Catholic and Independence, there's a lot on the line. Those two schools have split the last 2 years, winning on each other's home fields. Some people think this might be the two best teams in the Southwestern 4A. So obviously there's a lot of conference championship implications on that. And then, like I said, Palisades and Myers Park, there's some major implications in the SOMEC. Both of those teams are 1-0 in the conference, and Olympics also 1-0, but Olympics on a bye. So the winner of this game will have a bit of a lead, a half-game lead in the conference championship race. Mooresville and Hickory Ridge. It's Mooresville's homecoming. Hickory Ridge is really trying to get their first win on the season and get some positive momentum going. But you feel like Mooresville is a big favorite going into that one. And like I said, with Hopewell and Mallard Creek, the thing I want to see from Mallard Creek is, we know they have a really strong defense. And then Chaz Knox, number 90, is really having a strong season on that defensive line especially. But you want to see them offensively, see if they can put full 4 quarters together. And the big thing about that is, look, if you look at their games, I mean, they played a heck of a schedule. I don't think anyone in the state of North Carolina has played a harder schedule than Mallard Creek. But I think I think you really just want to see a game where they just, have an offensive explosion and really show off, some things that they can do offensively. They've been playing 3 different quarterbacks. Each one kind of has their strengths and weaknesses pretty much. So I know they would want to see, their offense really come out and have a really strong performance. So I'm excited to see. I haven't seen them in person yet either this year. So I'm excited to see that. For Valentine Ridge and RG Kill just wants to get in the win column. They've had some tough games, have had some close losses. They want to go out there and execute well. And Valentine Ridge, they know the situation they're in. They know it's tough. So they're going to continue to take the small victories and continue to work and continue to develop those young men in their program. And then for Butler and Providence, Butler coming off their first win over Garinger last weekend in Providence, played tough. They had a lead against Charlotte Catholic for a while in their game before, they kind of got a little worn down defensively in the second half, and the Charlotte Catholic was able to win that game 24-6. But I think that Butler Providence game has a chance to be a really good game. There's still probably some injury questions for Butler with Zach Lawrence. Like I say all the time, we don't get injury reports in high school. So we don't know if he's going to be back and playing, or if they're still going to play their backup quarterback who's more of a dual threat player. So that'll be interesting to watch. And then Providence, I'm sure they want to get their passing game going with Jackson DB, Octavia Oliveira, Keelan Shelton, and all those guys that they have on their offense. So yeah, some really good games lining up for Saturday. Now in the comments, um, okay, so Independence is at 6. All right. If I'm not, I'm gonna trust anybody. I'm trusting Karen Belton on Independence knowledge. um, Jonathan Mitchell says if Hopewell can sneak in and win over, yeah, yeah, that would be something. But hey, anything is possible. Anything is possible. And like I said, I haven't seen Hopewell. Their only loss, like I've said this before, their only loss was to Marvin Ridge by a 34-21 score. So I think they're capable. I definitely think they're capable. So yeah, I mean, if we any upset will definitely shake up the rankings. That's for sure. All right, so let's take a look at who's playing on Monday, and we're gonna flip over on Max Preps. All right, so we got Huff going to Chambers. This is a 6 p.m. start. This is at Chambers. And of course, everyone knows the history. This is a big time rivalry through the years. And, you start looking at this one. The biggest question is, does Chambers have enough offense to keep up with Huff's offense? And this used to be a big talk about defenses on both sides, but I think the offenses are the story here. Um, Huff has been incredible on offense. They've been explosive. They're having big plays all over the field. They're finding ways to get it done running the ball and throwing the ball. They have a lot of weapons. Um, and I mean, we've seen Chambers, and I think we saw Chambers' best game when they played Hickory Ridge, and they showed that if they can get the ball in space and make people tackle them in space, they have some potential. I mean, I think they have some kids that can do some things. But we're talking about the Huff defense here, and outside of their game against Northwestern to open the season, they have been very strong. So I think it's a tough game for Chambers, but some people say rivalry games, weird things happen. But Chambers is going to have to play their best game. They're going to have to play their best game this year to have a shot to upset the Huskies, because they have been on an absolute roll for sure. Some other games being played. Metrolina Christian is going up to Raleigh Ravenscroft. That is a 5:30 start. J.M. Robinson is going to Carson. That's a 6 p.m. start. Albemarle is going on the road to take on Lake Norman Charter at 6 p.m. Community School of Davidson is facing Mountain Island Charter and our buddy Coach Dub, Robert Washington, at 6 p.m. And Coach Dub shared on the show that Mountain Island is really banged up right now. They have 13 starters out, and they're playing a lot of young guys. So those guys are getting valuable experience for the future. Community schools kind of had an up and down season at 2-2, but into conference play, you look in their conference, they're probably one of the best teams in that conference. So there you go. All right, Garinger is at East Meck. That game was a 6 p.m. start. I put a poll out on Instagram to see what game people wanted me to go to on Monday. And this game was leading the poll. I'm going to try to pull it up and see. I think it already ended. So I don't know how the poll ended. But Garinger and East Meck was leading that poll on Monday. But then I also put a poll up on Twitter, and A.L. Brandon Lake Norman was leading that poll. So I don't know who's gonna win out, but I'll be somewhere on Monday between one of those two games. All right, Concord is going to Central Cabarrus. That is a 6 p.m. start on Monday. West Cabarrus and Cox Mill are playing on Monday at 6:30. I think that's going to be a good game. Salisbury hosting West Davidson at 6:30. North Stanley and Forest Hills is now 6:30 on Monday. They were going to play on Saturday. That game is moved to Monday. Good game right here. Sun Valley is hosting Marvin Ridge. Funny thing, these two teams are playing twice. They're in conference, but the first game is considered a non-conference game. They couldn't find a different opponent to play, so they said, "Well, we both have this week open. Let's play each other twice." And this has happened before, so um, that'll be a good one down in Union County. Cherryville and East Gaston. This game's at East Gaston. They're playing at 7. Pine Lake Prep is going to Winston-Salem Prep. It's the 7 o'clock start. Kings Mountain and North Gaston will be 7 o'clock on Monday. Northwest Cabarrus is going to East Land, 7 o'clock start. Battle for the West Side, West Charlotte and West Mac. This is a 7 p.m. start. We may have somebody at that game, and we may have somebody at Chambers and Huff. We're still trying to work that out. But that is West Mac's homecoming. So that'll be a good one for sure. And I hate the Storm mess that up because I know the homecoming, especially with West Charlotte, that's going to be a really big crowd. If it was normally on a Friday night. West Iredale is hosting Fred T. Ford at 7. Crest is going to Stuart Kramer. That is a 7 p.m. start. Bessemer City is going to Highland Tech, a 7 p.m. start. The big one we talked about on the show, North Lincoln is going to Hickory. That is a 7 p.m. start. And another big one we talked about, West Side out of South Carolina is going to Weddington as a 7 p.m. start. Forest View is going to Ashbrook. That is a 7:30 p.m. start. And A.L. Brown and Lake Norman is listed at 7:30, but I thought didn't that get moved up to 7? I think that got moved up to a 7 p.m. start. So I might be there, or I might be at Garinger and East Mac. A lot of people want me to show Garinger some love. And I've showed them love before. I saw them this summer, and there are a lot of good kids. There are a lot of good kids over there. So Trayvon Gaither says, "Is Raven Gap Charlotte Christian being rescheduled? I saw it was canceled." Let me see if I can go on Charlotte Christian's social media and see if they've got an answer. They're usually pretty good about updating these things. But I don't have it. Well, no, I don't have an answer. So if I can find it before the end of the show, I'll be glad to share it with you. Check the athletic account. Let's see here. A lot of cancellations on there. A lot of cancellations. Man. But no clear answer. So, we'll find out one way or another. If one of you know, please make sure you share that with us. Coach, thank you for this. I told somebody you guys are playing tonight. I hope they didn't go over there, but thank you for letting us know that game's been moved to Monday. Good stuff. Chat administrator says JV is at 4:30, varsity 7:30 for A.L. Brown Lake Norman. Okay. I might do a little double dip. I ain't done that in a while, but the problem is East Mac to Lake Norman is a long drive. So I'll probably have to choose which game I'm going to cover on that. But anyways, all right. So we're almost at that time. But if you got any other comments, you got questions, feel free to throw them out there. Once again, I'll have pictures from our game tonight, which was Country Day defeating Cannon School 37-17. We'll have those up pretty quickly. And then I'll try to get some video out there, probably tag some kids and share, what they did on the field tonight. And at some point, hopefully, I'm able to catch a couple of interviews with some players that, I thought did pretty well in that football game. So to everyone out there, stay safe. Have a good weekend. Hopefully, if you're going to Hopewell Mallard Creek on Saturday, feel free to say hello to me and the producer. Will be there. And then wherever I end up on Monday, Feel free to say hello as well. It was good to see a lot of people tonight. I saw Masanori Taguchi. He's the AD at Country Day, former teammate of mine. Always good to catch up with him. Um, I saw some couple others. Maybe I shouldn't say your names. But everybody I ran into tonight, it was really good to see you. And really nice to talk with you. So, all right, that being said, everybody have a good weekend. Stay safe. And we'll see you Wednesday night. Football Focus Weekly at 8 p.m. And we'll try to bring together all this stuff that we discussed tonight. All right. Have a good one, guys.